やっぱりアンジェリカの春脚は見事だな。タイミングを合わせるのが難しいよ。
このくらいで負けませんわ。
アンジェリカなら本気で攻めても大丈夫だよな。よーし、行くぞ。
降参ですわ。
え？勝負あり。
So Ossan Newbie is back with episode 6 after a bye week. It got skipped because of the Paris Olympics. Totally understand. Japan's been doing very well in the Olympics. You want to have that kind of take priority in your broadcast schedule in Japan, so they skipped the week. No problem. On my side, I actually forgot this existed for a minute. Today, it came up on my feed, and I was on live chart, and it was like, hey, Ossan Newbie today. And I was like, man. I was like, I forgot about this one. I was like, I just completely just forgot. And I was like, okay. So I jumped into this episode, and here's the thing, once again, is I'm conflicted with this show. It's like, in this episode, you have the main character taking on the blonde girl. Their names don't freaking matter. This show barely matters, right? Like, you have, our main dude, Rick, taking on the blonde girl that he beat before with the little feather step stuff. And their scene was legitimately really funny, from her getting sweep kicked to her giving up all of a sudden, just to her appearance, to her being taken out at, at a restaurant, and all of it. I think it was genuinely funny. Where the confliction comes in is the end of the episode introduces yet another character. It introduces yet another villain, I guess, in some dragon dude, whatever, at the end. Rick signs up to do 40 bouts, to do 40 battle or 40 mock battles, whatever they call them, 40 things in 4 days, but then they only show us one. It's like, just show me a montage of the 40. Let's just get over it. Like, at the end of the day, we know he's going to win. We know he's going to get into the tournament. Let's just show me a 30-second montage of him just, flicking people in the necks or whatever. And, like, let's just get over it. I don't really need to see anything more of that. You know what I mean? Like, he's S-rank, super powered. There's going to be... Even the dude who's, like, the champion probably can't touch him. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And, like, I personally, like, the moment they introduced that, into the fray, into the story, I was like, I'm just not interested in that. Rest of the episode, though, they basically, they found their other stone. The main guy, the ogre dude, he's going, I guess, to the eastern ranks or something. I don't know how I don't even know what it means, but I think he's going to another side of the country or the kingdom or something to go do the same thing Rick's doing here, but instead of on the west side, he's gonna go do it on the east side, I guess, and he's gonna enter the competition as well. I just don't care enough about this storyline. That's where my confliction is. Now, again, like I said, I had a couple of really good laughs this episode, so I think just based on those laughs alone, I think, like, that's enough for me. But considering we're halfway through the season, like, it just hasn't introduced something to me that is, like, legitimately like, oh, okay, this is really good stuff, Then they keep overusing the 40-something, storyline. And when I was thinking about that for a second, I was like, okay, he's, 30 whatever years old or whatever. But then he fights this guy who looks just as old, if not older than him. And then that guy's ripping on him. He's like, oh, who's this grandpa over here? Like, bro looks like he's older than our main guy. And then I was like, okay, they keep ripping on the 40-something stuff, to try and be funny. I think it was funny when the blonde-haired girl's little brother, when he did it, I think that was a funny moment, but then they just keep overusing it. And then the ogre dude's, he's way older. The elf dude in their party is like a couple 100 years old. The lowly girl looks 8, but she's like 1,000 years old or something like that. Like, so this dude's basically a baby. The only one he's kind of a lot older than is the blonde-haired girl for sure, which I don't know how old she is. And then the maid, which I think we surmised that at this point she's like 19 or maybe like 20. Something like that. So he's definitely like, a decade or so older than her. But, it's just one of those things that they just keep doing it over and over. I'm just like, okay, it's kind of getting old. Like, I get it. He's the old dude. But then don't introduce a guy who looks his senior, So yeah, I mean that was really the episode. You know, the funny moments between the blonde haired girl, the sweep kicks. When he's getting ready to turn up to 11, I think, you know, she's like, I'm out. That was funny. He goes and fights that random dude, and he hits, like, you know, he hits Rick, and his hand gets busted up. He's like, what the fuck? I was hitting stones, like, and what's going on? He's like, oh, a flickety flick, you know, number 2, don't hurt nobody, you know, flick. And then, you know, that guy loses consciousness or whatever. So I don't know. The show's just so fine. It's so all right. You know what I mean? Like, this season, I Parry Everything. It's another show similar to this. That one's a better show. Not by like a whole lot, but it has a better storyline. This one, it just kind of has a lack of story. So it's like, I don't really care very much, you know? I think that's where my problem is. Like, what's the main story? Like, what's the main plot? Just Rick proving that he's, you know, pretty fly for an old guy. Like, I don't really, you know, it's like, that's kind of where my problems become with this show. So I know I'm kind of shitting on it a little bit, but at the same time, like, I laughed a couple times this episode, so it wasn't all bad. You know what I mean? There was still some good stuff here. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Like I always tell you guys, you know, it's always like when I watch these shows, it's always based on my mood. And today, you know, when I clicked, I was like, oh, okay, I gotta watch this one, you know? And that does play a part in it. But then, you know, it did uplift me a little bit because I did like a genuinely laugh, you know, 2 or 3 times. So that was a nice to see. But then the things surrounding it are just kind of like, I just don't care about it. So yeah. All right, I'll see you guys next week, my friends. Peace.